always fun game. Absolutely incredible.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
Draymond, 1-3 shy of a triple-double. 7 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists for Draymond Green. Warriors edged out late, 114-98.
Shocked you talking to me.
What? I'm just... He almost had a triple-double last night.
And if you say that to Coach Kerr in a loss like that, he don't want to hear nothing about individuality, baby. I love that from him.
Well, we'll hear from Steve Kerr in a second. The number, as you all know, 888-957-9570 is the number. Man. Warriors get beat last night by Miami. And, you know, it's funny how there's kind of ebbs and flows to a season. And yesterday, we talked about Tim Kuhn of ESPN, who wrote this story on the Warriors about how tough it's going to be for them to thread this needle, try to become a better team while Steph Curry plays less and less. And it feels like after last night's game, you're watching this.
33 minutes from the chef.
You're watching this frustration and kind of disintegration in real time.
Wow.
And there's nobody that's watched the Warriors for Steph Curry's entire 16-year career and doesn't realize, you know, the last few nights at the podium, he's looked a little bit despondent. Man. So, you know, we've got a few things happening. What's going on? And then what do you do? And I think what might be the most frustrating thing, Goo, is I think it's starting to become apparent that there might not be anything you can do to make this team better in the next month, because there seems to be a chance that any available player who may be available, either they can't figure it out how to make a deal, or the team that has a player thinks the Warriors are asking for too much. And as Joe Lacob has always said, trades are hard, so you got to kind of let Dunleavy do whatever Dunleavy's going to do, and you got to play Detroit on Thursday and try to win a game.
You're right, but what about this? And I don't want to compare you and I, or even Evan and Spadoni to NBA players, but we've been in situations with groups, at least I have, and family. Steiny, when there are no answers, the frustration grows, and it festers to a point to where now you see sides of people that even they didn't want to show you the side. And I think Exhibit A is Steph Curry after the games. I don't think early on, after 36 games, he even thought it would look like this. And I'm worried and I'm uncomfortable, Steiny, watching this Warrior team, you know, with that being the mantra. Because right now, if there is no answer and this keeps up, then we're going to start seeing sides and hearing things that are like, oh boy. And I've never come for Steve Kerr, Steiny. I never have. I talk about his brilliance, drawing up plays out of timeouts and things of that nature. But this year, he stepped to the mic and he told the fan base, we're good enough. He said we're good enough to go 13 or 14 deep, and that's what we're going to do. They tried it, got off to a great start. Melton got hurt, and then Vamoose. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of Jimmy jacking with guys playing time or whatnot, but I entrusted you. But when you go to the mic now, Steve Kerr, like you did last night, and you tell me that grown-ass men are lacking confidence, I can now get in the line of saying, okay, this is the first time, Coach. Well, I've criticized him before, but Steiny, I'm really bothered. That's on you, Coach, to get this morale or confidence up when you got leaders like Steph and Dre. That's what's really getting to me.
Well, and you're looking at it from a team perspective, and you think this team should be better. It's better than 18-18, and you're talking about the personnel and the talent, which is fine. You know, maybe they're not maxing out. Maybe they should have a few more wins. I keep coming back to the much bigger picture was that. And I remember saying this last year at the end of the season, and it's a general statement, but how you tell me how you can overcome it. At the end of last year, Mike Dunleavy was tasked with two things: reduce payroll and get better.
That's impossible.
Thank you. Thank you. Their number one goal in the offseason was to get under the second apron. That was their number one goal. It wasn't to land a star. Because to land a star, they probably would have had to blow through that apron, which would have hindered them in a monster way. And that's what I keep coming back to with the Golden State Warriors. You needed to reduce payroll and get better. And those things don't go hand in hand. And that's why when they made the decision, we're getting under that second apron, and then you knew that they were going to have to be kind of tight and frugal and be creative, and they brought in Hield, Anderson, and Melton, I'm thinking, you know what? That's not bad considering the cost cutting that they had to do. But unfortunately, they're about the same team as they were last year. So I look at it as a bigger picture. Like I don't think this team's really much better than 18-18 for what I've seen. But Goo, I think the issue is, why did we think they were going to be better when we knew at the same time they had to cut payroll?
Now, I don't want to say problem with had, because it's choice. Now, this could be naivete, but they went after Paul George and Markkanen. And if those deals would have went through, Joe Lacob, I don't want to say happily, Steiny, he was telling the fan base, I'm ready to spend and blow past it again if we can get these two type of guys. So they couldn't get them. So I want to just push back a little on you saying that they were going down street A of we got to cut payroll and try to get better. They tried to do something on street B and go shopping at Nordstrom's.
You believe them?
All right, we know what I do. Do you believe them? Why wouldn't we believe him, Steiny? Why wouldn't we believe Joe Lacob, who spent and been in the red forever? Why would we believe that they would try to give the fans and Windhorse and all the powers to be the banana in the tailpipe just to make it look like we went after them? Draymond was on his podcast saying they were trying to get both. So I got to believe them.
Oh, look, okay. This is where they try, and I heard that's a joke. How are they going to get both? Why would you even say that? Why would you that's the other thing. Anybody who knew anything, the minute last year, Windhorse said the Warriors are going big game hunting. My first thought was, how are they going big game hunting when they're going to reduce payroll? How? 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 You can't. And they didn't. And in fact, they let Chris Paul walk for nothing. Because had they taken money or salary back for Chris Paul, they would have constrained themselves to an unbelievable degree. And so the idea of a big fish, to me, had such a small percentage of actually happening that people, we got fooled into thinking that something could be pulled off, and maybe nothing can be pulled off. 888-957-9570 is the number. It's funny. It's, last few Warrior losses, I keep asking,
terrible.
What do you do? If you're a Warrior fan, 888-957-9570, what do you do? What are you going to do? I think we're finding out there's nothing he can do. They're trying to do something. I believe that.
But they're uncomfortable. Can you admit that? Like Kawakami, I'm a sucker for information, right? He tweeted last night.
Mean anything to me.
He said normally Mike Dunleavy and Lacob talk, but they were having a conversation right out the game, kind of right in front of the report. What do you think
that means? So you tell me.
The word I'm looking for in hope, what that means, urgency. What you're saying is facts, Steiny, but I don't think anybody's happy. You're going to play the Kerr sound here shortly. Steph Curry,
nobody's happy. So what? And I'm going to nobody's happy. They're 18-18. So what? So what? You think everybody's happy on the Portland Trailblazers?
No,
and that's the team we are right now.
Wow.
Like they are. They're 18-18. People are unhappy. I'm sure Schroeder Schroeder didn't want to be traded. I'm sure Kuminga's now hurt. He's upset. Steph sees his mortality. Draymond knows he's pretty much at the end of his career. Looney doesn't play anymore. Kyle Anderson is a veteran who didn't play, and now he's hoisted into the light. It's like, yeah, they're not happy. That teams that don't win aren't happy. And you know what? It's going to continue unless something happens, but I don't know what's going to happen because I don't think anything, I don't know what's out there. I have skepticism that there is anything out there. And the reality is maybe fans should start thinking, okay, well, this is it, so let's do the best with what we have.
Yeah, but to me, if it continues down this way, you said what can change? Maybe somebody's mind, the powers to be, to where they didn't see this 18-18, and it's not just 18-18, it's a bad 18-18 to me. And I'm wondering now if, you know what, you wanted to hold on to something, maybe you're willing to dangle that now. And I could be wrong, but partner, there's a way to approach the game and lose. And last night was just like, I can't ignore the fact that the night before, the Miami Heat were down on Highway 80 playing a double overtime game, and Vegas had them favored by -9.5. And I'm going to say this, a microcosm of the Warriors season for Dennis Schroeder. He came in here when he was a Brooklyn Net and put up 31 points. Since his inception of being a Golden State Warrior, he just can't find his bearings. And I wonder, is that just a sign of dysfunction? Not that he hasn't scored 31 as a Warrior, but are the problems, and I would never put him on Dennis Schroeder, but Steiny, is that kind of symbolic of what's going on with like Dennis can't find the 31-point Dennis.
Well, that's because
in this Warrior vortex that's going on right now. And nobody can make a shot all of a sudden.
Well, he wasn't playing with Steph Curry in Brooklyn, so he could just go out and take 18 shots a night. When you play with Steph Curry, you must be aware that he's one of your teammates. All right, Steve Kerr was chippy as hell last night, and I think it had something to do with the fires down south. He made it clear to, his mom, I guess, had to evacuate. She lives down there. So clearly that was on his mind. But then the performance the Warriors had yesterday obviously had him annoyed, and nothing showed his annoyance more than when he was asked about a nice little game. Well, a nice game in the box score from Trace Jackson Davis. And Kerr was asked, hey, what'd you think of Trace Jackson Davis? He played a pretty good game.
I mean, I can't sit here after that and be excited about anything. He scored 19 points. Great. He's having a good season. But who the hell cares if we're not competitive? If we don't have a competitive spirit and a fight and a willingness to compete through everything, then I'm not going to sit here and talk about it. Hey, so-and-so had some points. Great. Who cares? It's about us competing and being the Warriors, being the team we've been for 10 years and not feeling sorry for ourselves. That's what I'm thinking about tonight.
Wow. I love that. And that was right on time, but that doesn't mean anything in the win-loss column. And you're going to throw something at me before you take this next call? Evan, I was saving this. They miss Podziemski.
Okay.
They miss him. I never thought they would miss him.
Well, then they stink. I'm sorry.
Well, no, he plays hard.
That's great. And you're right about that. But if they, when is it going to stop? They miss Moody. Oh, they miss Looney. He didn't play last night. They certainly miss DeAnthony Melton. And now everybody's favorite whipping boy, Brandon Podziemski, now they miss him. Like, okay, I'm not going to fight you on. Sure, if he was available, he would have had a shot to play last night.
And bust his ass, get some rebounds, take a charge. Mm-hmm. Might not make every shot, but I'm not seeing
101. What's the difference? One guy, an eighth man, I don't think is going to make a difference, even if the guy is playing hard. Question is, we got a month. You got a month till the trade deadline.
But you got 2 more games this week, Stoney. They could be 18 and 20.
Okay, and then it's a 4-game road.
Yeah, I know, but those 2 are daunting to me.
Well, they got Minnesota after that, too.
They've had some success against the Wolves.
Yeah,
not howling as loudly.
Still better than the Warriors. Don't you forget it. Let's go to Jimmy in Bayview. Jimmy in Bayview. Get us started, Jimmy.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. This team has been built around Steph Curry as a 1. And it's quite obvious he's now a 2. So you have to reconfigure the whole team. And that's not easy, especially when you draft poorly. I mean, Moody stinks. Wiseman's gone. You're giving away draft picks because you got to unload Jordan Poole. And, it's not easy. The New York Rangers were 2 games from the Stanley Cup, and they've completely gone into a rebuild. I mean, this stuff happens in, like, the snap of fingers. And it's just – and I agree with Guru. At a time like this, sometimes drastic changes need to be done, and that would be changing the coach. Like, can Kerr stomach a rebuild? And
what about Steph?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, what about Steph stomaching a rebuild?
I mean, in this situation, you sell off all the parts and start over, and Steph's your most valuable part. But that's also the franchise. You really, that's the Warriors.
Yeah,
that's what this stadium was built on.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, I don't. It's not an easy situation, especially when you're financially strapped.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Can I do it just real quickly, Stoney, a little math?
Yeah.
If you guys want to pick up the phone and call and say Steph is a 2 now and not a 1, he's closer to a 1 than your 2 is to being a 2. And your 3 to be that's where the problem lies. Like your 4, you know what I mean? It's like a trickle-down effect. Steph I still think he's a 1. But if you say he's a 2, he's still closer to being a 1 than anything else you have. And Steiny, I really don't know. I'm not being cruel here. What impact is Draymond Green having on this team? I'll just let you tell me.
You were talking about him
he
as
was playing like
defensive player of the year candidate
after
as recently
15 games.
as 2 weeks ago.
No, okay, I was wrong.
Well, but that's the point. He's not a DPOY candidate. He's not anymore. He's a really good defender. He's not an elite defender who can do it for 30 minutes a game. He only has stretches. So what happens then to the stretches when he used to be elite? He's not quite elite. All those millions of things detract from your ability to be a great team. This is kind of where I always wonder, like, what did you think was going to happen when the dynasty was starting to go away? That
I would feel that Steph had nothing left, and I'd be like, okay, we're at this juncture to where it starts and ends with him. I'm not saying he's a 27-year-old Steph, Stoney, but he still last night showed you he can shoot. And I will not let go. And I know conventional wisdom will say, hey, the Olympic thing, when the world saw him on that stage, he was playing with all-stars left and right. But that had nothing to do with the ball going in the hole. Oh. It's just, I just feel like what's around him is so deficient that it's making him even get questioned to, maybe you're right. LeBron James, is he still a 1? He doesn't have to be. He's got Anthony Davis. What does Steph have? That's all I'm asking. What does Steph have? Paul George at his age has Embiid, Maxey. Steph has nobody.
They're worse than the Warriors. The Sixers are worse than the Warriors.
And a lot of that is because availability is the best ability.
That's right. So if you said, oh, look, Steph's got Paul George, that doesn't mean they'd be 22-13. And that's part of the problem it's not obvious what road they can go down right now. But what is obvious is
they have no confidence. Oh, my God. Just think about what I just said. The coach said it. What's going on? on the airplanes to on the road?
Well,
what do you mean we have no confidence?
Well, if you look at I think what it is they haven't played together very long. Like Schroeder came 2.5 weeks ago, so he's new. Anderson and Hield, whether you like it or not, weren't here last year. Curry's here, but Looney's not playing. This is kind of a team that really doesn't have an identity because.
So even training camp meant nothing?
It's hard to get, for example, now Kyle Anderson's got to play 25 minutes a night.
After being an afterthought.
Exactly. So
but
it's going to be tough. It's good, right, but that's why you get beat by 14 or 16 points is because, Buddy Hield, clearly Buddy Hield isn't playing free.
But can we, and I'm
He's
not going
tight.
in on Buddy, but can we kind of see why he's been on 8 teams? I love the guy, and Fitz said it last night.
What did you expect you were getting? Buddy Hield has been Buddy Hield.
Can I really tell you? A guy
well, then why
was going to get infected with the Warrior culture to where it would be the easiest basketball that he's played. And
why? Why would you think that?
And
I don't get why you would think that.
I got my hand up like Horseshack. I don't know, Stoney.
All right. 888-957-9570. Let me tell you what's going on today, everybody. We're talking Warriors for the next hour or so, and then at 11:30, we're going down to Santa Clara. We're going to hear from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. They're talking to the media today. Their season-ending wrap-up with the media, and that starts at 11:30, so we're going to take that live at 11:30 and give it right to you, and at that point, we'll probably slide over into some 49ers talk if it's provocative enough. But right now we're talking about the Golden State Warriors. They're 18-18. They started the season 12-3, and they are 6-15 over their last 21. And usually we come in and say, what do you do? What are you going to do? But, I'm watching that game last night, and I'm watching Steph, and I can see Kerr's irritation. And every once in a while, I get a glimpse of Lacob on the sidelines, and he seems to be shaking his head more and more. And it feels like it's hitting me that there might not be anything they can do. That's the part that's really starting to hit me. They've set up for the last 6 months, they've dangled a carrot that there may be something out there. A big move, a big player, a guy to team with Steph. And one by one, guys have popped up and gone away and popped up and gone away. And that tells me that the players that the Warriors want, those teams are asking apparently way, way too much out of the Warriors. So if you can't make a move, Goo,
I got something.
You gotta just try to get better.
No, hold on. There is something you can do. And this is our worst nightmare. And right now, I think they're doing it. And I think they owe it to Steph Curry by trying to do everything under the sun to appease him and get him help. But if you're right and there are no players out there and there's not a deal that can be done, at the end of the day, we're watching Steph Curry look despondent. Did you see Evan's video he put up last night from being at Chase Center to where Curry's just gazing off into nobody knows? My point is, Steiny, you could do right by him and move him to a contender to better his chance to get number 5 somewhere else because he doesn't look like he's ready for this.